definitely want to bring that up that I've been reading those lately. This is gonna be episode 83 of the Just Chilling podcast. As you know or not know, I'm your host Miguel. I got Casey dealing with me today, and I'm excited to have her here. Uh, we haven't talked in a while, so I feel like we got a lot of catching up to do, which is perfect for a podcast episode. Um, Last time I had you on here, like I said, the podcast setup was way different, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Last time we were just doing phone calls. So this is much better. I like this much more.
Me too. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you even jumping on there with me back then. I said I had a podcast. And I'd be surprised sometimes that the people that really say, yeah, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Like even T James and some other guys back from Gas, and then I wouldn't think they would come on. They do come on and support me and whatever I'm trying to do. And I shouldn't be surprised at that, but it feels good. Even I got that same feeling with you having you on here.
Well, I mean, yeah, we go back a long time. We've been friends for, well, I mean, I guess 20 years at this point, at least,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
um,
All right. So that was I want to drag Casey into my nerd corner for a second. It's probably gonna be like a new segment I'm bringing up on here. So I've been reading comics. I've been reading a lot of Marvel and DC comics lately. Just want to kind of get the people that are watching the show updated on what I'm reading now. This is Tom King. It's called The Bid. This thing right here. First appearance of Sparky. That's the dog. I haven't got to this episode yet, but I'm on the fifth book, and this gonna be the next one I read. If you watch WandaVision at all, Sparky's the dog from WandaVision. So the dog appears in this comic right here. The reason I want to bring that up is it's a good series. Tom King, The Vision, start from one. Check it out. The reason I bring it up, my wife's reading, I'm reading it, we're just going back and forth with it. It really has taken over my house, and I'm reading a lot of other comics, but this is the one right here that keeps coming up. So I'm on that one right now. Casey, have you ever been into comics or whatever? It's like a new phase I'm going through right now.
I was into comics as a kid. I really, 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 I loved X Men. Like X Men was my go-to.
That was like you said,
Um,
I was into it like as a kid. I'm like, man, I'm fucking 30 something.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I'm into really some kiddie stuff too when it comes to like video games. I love some Mario, but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I loved X Men as a kid. Was real big into the Spider Man comics as well. Um, but they became more of a nuisance to get once we got at that weird age.
Yeah.
That early teenage. It became now somebody's got to carry you to the bookstore and you know so kind of fell out of it at that point. But
Yeah. And the whole scene is just crazy right now. Like as soon as a movie comes out or WandaVision comes out or something like that, like whatever books are associated with that show, the prices just jump crazy. Like if you have that book, it goes from being worth $100 to probably like $500 overnight. Just, I mean, it's like the stock market right now. It's kind of like stock for real. And I've just find it interesting for some reason. I've just been going to comic book stores and shit like that, picking up books, speculating on what I think is gonna, pop in the MCU. It's fun, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm enjoying doing that right now. And I'm glad that you have some type of history. What's the comic that you read? What were you into, like Spider-Man?
yeah, so I'm super big into X Men. I love Spider Man. I had the whole collection. I had probably I think when after high school, my dad started giving me all my old stuff and when they had saved up, and I remember I probably had 300-400 X Men between X Men and Spider Man. Um, I mean, I did what everybody else does. I took them to a local store and hawked them for probably something that was nowhere near worth what I had.
I know,
But
right?
I had just extra stuff to try to get rid of, and moving all of the country in the military just wasn't worth trying to keep up with all that stuff. So
Yeah. It definitely a lot going into it with the bags and boards and shit like that, keeping up with them and stuff like that. Um, Definitely want to get you on here. We talked about, your last time we talked, you were in ring talent, and since then you've went from you've done a lot. You refed, you still ref. You started I don't know if you that's what this is what you're here for to explain. I don't know if you started the Bella Donna division, or if you had something to do with bringing it together. So just tell me how the Belladonna beginning started. And I see what you're doing with it now. And we're gonna talk about how far you're taking it now, and it's awesome to witness.
Yeah, so in December of 2019, I had my last set of matches. I had six. I had six titles. I needed to drop. Well, backstory a little bit. So Thanksgiving weekend of 2019, I was back working over in the UK. That was my fifth or sixth time that year over in the UK or over in Europe in general working, and I blew out my knee. Um, you've known me for a while. I had knee surgery back in high school, if you remember. I've had one, so this will be number four that I'm currently pending. But I blew out my knee, and I announced that I was going to retire. Um, so I had tons of matches or tons of titles I needed to drop. So I went on my December losing spree, as I like to call it. Uh, I was dropping titles all over the country. And I got to CZW and WSU up in New Jersey and had my final two matches. And Chalonce Royal was actually my final match I ever had. And it's a great time. Um, but I announced my retirement, and that was going to be it. I was going to be done. Uh, Couple of probably 2 to 3 days after I announced my retirement, I was contacted by the former owner of the Victory Championship Wrestling in Alabama and asked if I would be interested in taking over the women's division. Um, that company had split from another company. At the time, they really didn't have a women's division. We were back and forth with just a few matches here and there and stuff like that, but never a full on division. And I told him, I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way. We're not going to use the cheap, local, untrained talent that is so prevalent in the South. That I was going to get the girls that I experienced throughout my career,
Hmm.
both in Europe, both in Canada, all over the United States. I was going to use all those ladies, and I was given the thumbs up and given a budget and said, "Go do your thing." So I started booking, or I created the Belladonna division from the get go. I hate people that are just, I shouldn't say I hate people. I hate promotions that call their women's division just women's division. Um, it just shows lack of interest. And at this point, even
Like a
in
stigma.
20,
It's like a stigma a little bit.
yeah, you could say it that way. And at this point, women's wrestling hasn't really fully gained its momentum just yet. Like we're getting there, but it's not there yet. And so just being boring and calling it, just the women's division, it's just there's not much to it. So I said I was on, I'm sorry, my Siri's going off. I said I was going to make it an actual thing. So I came up with a Belladonna division. Um, Veronica Fairchild and I then started working on storylines. And once we got that established, we were going to be able to do something that no one else in the South was doing at that moment, and that was giving storylines to every participant in the division. Um, that's another thing that you don't see in women's wrestling a whole lot, especially in the South, is women actually getting storylines and not just wrestling for the sake of wrestling.
But
Um,
for time's sake.
y- yeah, it's almost um, an attraction, if you want to say it that way. They'll send you out there, hey, y'all two go do something and set it up to where we're going to do a title change later, and that's going to be the end of it. That's all they'll tell you to do. And a lot of times this is not enough. Like you're giving all these guys these long drawn out storylines, and you're giving the girls, hey, just go out there and do something. So that's one thing we were going to change. um, Veronica and I had talked about doing this for years. Veronica is one of my really good friends in the business, and she's very trustworthy and go to. And like I said, we had talked about doing this for years. Our issue was, and still is distance from each other. I live in Virginia and she lives in Birmingham. So trying to get together and brainstorming ideas. She's a mother of she's got kids. She's very active in the church. She has all of her church stuff going. So trying to find time to sit down and put this thing together was really slowing us down. And so when we got the opportunity to finally take this thing into full force, um, that's what we did. And what you see now is a product of us working on this for 4 years, 5 years. It's finally just coming together in a sense.
Wow. Um, I mean, but you're okay. So now you have the Belladonna promotion, right? Is that a promotion you're doing now?
Yeah, so we broke away and we started our own promotion.
And see, that is big. That is, do you understand how big that is, like just in general? That
well,
is big.
I'll tell you this: it's an undertaking. Go away. It's an undertaking. Like it's nerve wracking. Uh,
It's gonna be worth it. This shit is history right here, seriously.
yeah, but that is one thing that you don't see anywhere in the South right now, completely. So we are the first and only promotion in the southern part of the United States, and one of I think three in the country who are entirely owned, ran, staffed by women. From the includes ownership, it includes production, it includes referees, talent, um, concession stand workers, security, photographers, videographers, commentary. Everyone is a female in this promotion, and it's so rare. There's other female owned in companies in the South, but not completely ran and staffed. There's always, a woman's husband who's involved or something similar.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Um, that is awesome. What I was thinking about was that, are you gonna be stationed in Gaston? Are you gonna be doing shows out of Gaston?
Yeah, so we established that building with VCW, and something we all worked very hard on getting built
That
up.
is an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment right there.
And it is, and you know the building that we're in. It's the old movie theater inside the Gadsden Mall, and that place was a dump when we got it,
Mhm.
and we've turned it into a very nice arena. And then when the unfortunate circumstances happened, um, it put me in a situation to where I couldn't afford to go out and get another building right this moment. Our numbers were down due to COVID. Like we were selling out, but we were only selling out, 150, 200 people because that's all we could sell. Um, so come April, actually tomorrow, the state opens up the guidelines saying that we're allowed to have full
Matt,
staff again.
yeah.
So, there was no use getting a new location when we already had one. So as of right this minute, we are stationed and we have no plans to leave full time in Gadsden.
Yeah, well, see, my thing is this, with the whole Belladonna division, and why I say it's historic is because you're starting a all women promotion, okay, and we have promotions throughout the South, and I'm just wondering, like, where is your head with this? Because you can you're bringing talent in from all over the place. We talked about Jax gonna be at the first show from WWE, right? Or was it
Yes.
Jax? Right? Not only that, you keep this promotion going and you can possibly do what the men do, and you can scout new women on the horizon from around. You can actually build a promotion to compete with the men's promotions that are around there and possibly beat them, because with better content, better storylines, like you spoke of earlier, and better just overall shows. This is I see this as a complete opportunity, that you really just can't. I understand why you're undertaking it, because it's just is too good to turn away from. I mean, what do you think as far as that, like just future wise with the Belladonna division?
Yeah. So uh, in a nutshell, uh, you're basically right when it comes to competing against the promotions that are currently in, especially in Alabama. Um, there are a few
Oh, I
promotions.
wanna cut you off. There's probably young girls, you know what I'm saying, that are gonna attend these shows and want to be a part of this one day. You know what I'm saying? This is inspirational, which like it's so many levels to it. That's why I wanted to have you on today and just speak on this because what you're doing right here, like I said, long as everything stays on track, man, this is historic. You know, you can go ahead and say what you're gonna say, but I just wanted to give you your kudos on it.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, and that is one thing. Another thing that Veronica and I talked about too is you, when you're doing whatever it is you're doing when you're inside those guardrails, whether you're being a heel or whether you're being a baby, whether you're doing good things or bad things, whatever the case may be, when you see that child up against the guardrail, hanging onto the guardrail, even though we tell them not to for safety, when you see that, when you see those kids really explode when something happens, that that really makes your day. It really lets you know that you're doing something correct. Um, but when you look at that, 90% of the time you're seeing the little boys. You're not seeing the little girls. And this isn't a new phenomenon. I mean, it's gaining a little bit more attention, but it's still not where it needs to be. And a lot of these young girls, they don't get the option or the opportunity to see any female wrestling hardly except on TV. And while that's great aspirations for them to see it on TV, sometimes, and we all know this, you know, you can dream of being on TV, but there's no one down at a local level
Just
that
spark you.
can spark you. Yeah.
Mm.
To show you that it is kind of possible to get there. Right. So, we are excited about that. And when it comes to competition with the promotions in Alabama, uh, we can easily outbeat them. Um, but we don't have competition in terms of what we're doing. Um, the only other promotion in the area is VCW, and we're not really fighting them. Um, they're not really our enemies in terms of um, trying to put butts in seats.
Okay.
Um,
It's a kind of like a collaboration.
yes and no. We are not a part of VCW anymore. We have separated and become our own company, but there's not heat there.
Mm.
Um, so we will try to use the same audience, and but we're also trying to bring in new members of this
You
audience,
will. You
and
will.
pick up a subsection of the people in the city and around the area who maybe they're just that new thing at the mall.
I just
The malls.
I want to tell you this too because I'm a foster parent, and I had a girl with me. Her name was Amber, and I will watch NXT. I watch WWE, and I will watch AEW around and stuff like that. And she'll sit around and she calls it fighting. Oh, dad is watching fighting. Dad is watching fighting. But I'm gonna tell you, when the women were wrestling, she would sit down and watch. When the men were wrestling, she walk around, she go in the kitchen, come out the kitchen, come. But when the she said, and then one day she just said to me, she said, "Daddy, I want and the men were wrestling. She's like, when are the women gonna fight? Because she calls it fight. She doesn't. She's three. She doesn't call it wrestling yet. And she's like, when are the girls gonna fight? And it just made me think about what you're doing right here. 'Cause you have people that want to see that. You got little people that want to see that. You know, and they're interested at more interested in that more than the guys. More than the boys. They want to see the girls too.
Well, they should, because to be honest, quite often the women's matches are better than the men's matches. Um, there may not be as, maybe not as hard hitting,
Mm,
but when it comes to the storytelling, when it comes to um, the actual physical aspect, the athletic ability, quite often the women's matches are better than the men's, and and women's wrestling is still overlooked.
mm,
And it dates back to the 90s and prior,
yeah.
when it was all Diva and TNA.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say we also still work with TNA, but I look at it as more as talent and attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
yeah. So I guess basically what I'm trying to say is women's wrestling is still underrated, and it's so great when you see, and you're a perfect example of having your daughter who who is inspired to do such things or inspired to enjoy wrestling because of the women's matches.
Mhm.
And that's we love that, and that's one thing we want to do is try to bring in the little girls. We're actually pushing really hard with the local Girl Scout groups and stuff like that to try to get in, try to get them into our
Wow.
debut show.
Yeah.
um that's we even offer a few discounts and stuff like that to get them in, just to let them know that stuff like this is possible.
Mhm.
you know
That's
you know
awesome.
you're not at school very often. Your teachers say, why don't you look into being a professional wrestler?
You don't hear
But
that. No, not for the girls. Yeah, that's something that they have to get into. And like I said, you're doing great work by getting that to making it finding it easier for them to get into that, or find that, 'cause, a lot of these girls, they got dads that watch wrestling, and UFC and stuff like that, and they just, they want to see representation too, even at 3. They want to see representation, man. And
mhm.
it's a real thing, and that's what I'm saying. You guys definitely got potential right there with Belladonna promotion. I definitely, well, I know I wanted to ask you this first. I know I even wrote you on Facebook about it. Was what it was is you've been a performer, you cut promos, you've even refereed. So gimmick stealing. Has anyone ever stole a gimmick of yours, or what is your thoughts on gimmicks? Because I mean I know that's a broad statement because people can steal a gimmick. It could be music. It can be in music. It can be in podcasts, and people are still gimmicks in podcasting, and even in wrestling. So I just want to know, how is that dealt with in professional wrestling, or how have you saw it dealt with, or have you ever seen it? How close have you been to gimmick stealing?
So in wrestling, we had the phrase, nothing's new in wrestling. There's only so much you can do. There's only so many ideas that can come around. There's only so many physical moves that can be done. So many ideas that can be tossed around. Um, so it's really hard to accuse someone of gimmick stealing in wrestling. Um, Having said that, there are a lot of coincidences, if you must. Um, there's a guy, for instance, out in the Kentucky area. His name is Paul Lee. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the guy or not, but he is a wannabe spitting replica of Ric Flair. Same music comes
Today, today.
today comes out with Ric Flair ish robes. It comes out to the guy's music, does the same entrance, does the woo, like the whole, like he is. We call him the Trailer Park Rick, because that's
That's what
what
it is.
it's a trashy version of Ric Flair. Um, Now, my personal experiences. So in 2018, 17, 18 timeframe, I had been getting contacted a lot by this promotion called KZW, Kentucky's Own Wrestling. You don't put the effort into remembering the name. It's not. They're not important. Um, they're just. I had a cancellation, and when you have a cancellation at the last minute, that's money out of my pocket that I'm expecting to get paid. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it. So they asked me. I posted on it. They asked me if I'd come in. Um, so I had no issues. I drove down to Kentucky, not very far from here, a couple hours, 6, 7 hours, and I get there and I'm meeting everyone, and the there's all types of bells and whistles going off in my mind about this place. One of the first is talking about that I may be taking the title, and I'd never been there before. I don't know these people,
Mm.
and all of a sudden, now I'm in the title run, and it was very odd to me. Fast forward to the end of the match, I did win and I did get the title. Um, but I was not upset. I was very upset about the area. The woman I worked, she was not trained. She was unsafe. She was impossible to work with. She had a very bad attitude. We'll say it that way. I was upset about the whole situation. It was just a bad match, and I collected my paycheck and I left. Um, that would be. I want to say it was probably.
Having outworked her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was so upset with her. She told me she lied to me about a lot of things, and this business is built on trust. I I have to be able to trust you. You have to be able to trust me. Um, that's why we have reputations that we have. You carry around contact info for other people. Like this is when you're trusting me with your life. It's good to know that you know what you're doing, right? So
Nice to
she had
know.
lied to me. Yeah, she had lied to me, and she had put me in danger, and I was upset about it. And I won the title, but I said I didn't really care
So
to come
you so
back.
you spot so you spot in mid match a bad spot, or you saw a bad spot mid match,
Well,
or
the
you
whole
saw
match was bad.
something wrong mid match.
Yeah, from the moment we locked up, I wouldn't even call it mid match. I'd call it the beginning of the match till the end of the match.
Pre match
Um,
kind of beginning.
yeah. So fast forward. I guess that was October time frame. September, October. It just started getting a little bit cool. Remember that. Um, so around November, I start seeing posts from them. They're running shows, and I didn't really pay much attention to them. But somebody tagged me in a post in a flyer, and it had it was talking about some kind of Thanksgiving bash or something like that, and it had this woman who was a little heavier set, kind of like I am, big, thicker body, and who was wearing all black and had black and white face paint, and I was like, okay, face paint's kind of similar, but not the same. I can't claim it's original anyways. Look how many people use black and white face paint before me. So I was like, oh yeah, just whatever. Somebody like, hey, Casey, you might want to know about this. And I was like, don't worry about it. It's not, it's whatever. Fast forward to December, the next month, and they're posting their flyer for um their Christmas show,
Hmm.
and they're having a fatal 5-way or 4-way, whatever it was, for the vacant women's title. Now the title was never vacated by me. I never once said I vacate this title.
You
They
never
never
dropped it
asked.
in a match.
No, never dropped it. They never asked me to come back in to drop it. Right. So I'm still the KZW champion. Right. As much as I don't care to be the KZW
It's
champion,
the truth.
you
I'm
got
the champion.
you know what I'm saying. You're gonna keep relevance in this. You got to keep something going, right? And I'm professional, and I could have come in and did business. I was gonna up my price, and stuff like that, but I would have done business. But that was something they weren't interested in, or at least they never contacted me back. Um, so uh, come this Christmas show, they got this girl, and ironically, she had an upside down cross on her forehead. She had the nice little painted black line down her chin, painted eyes like I do my makeup. Uh, yeah, and I can't remember what she was calling herself, but it was very, very close to Casey Dillon. Like the
Shit.
name, she was calling herself very close to Casey Dillon. Come to find out, all their fans could remember of our match was that I had won.
Mm.
And so their thought process was they could put somebody who has a similar body shape, similar height, and can do similar makeup and go out there and lose for
Mm.
me, to represent
Yeah,
me,
a decoy,
right? Yeah, you can say it that way, a doppelganger. You know,
doppelganger.
yep. Uh,
That's fucking
so
offensive, though, right?
it's very offensive because she's hot garbage to begin with. She's never been trained, so I was like, well, at least if you're gonna fuck me over like that, at least have somebody that's been is decent. you know.
That can work.
Right, at least be able to work a headlock. Fuck. But man, I couldn't even get that. But oh god, yeah. So that is my personal experience. I may have not reacted the best at that time frame, but I was frustrated. But you see
So
stuff like that.
did the promotion, were they behind that, creating a doppelganger of you to drop the belt per se?
Yeah, absolutely. So
That is
the
gross, man.
yeah, the woman that ran the division was obviously the wife of the promoter, and
Bet you see
all
that a
those.
lot, don't you?
Oh yeah, all those girls were. None of those girls were trained. Um, like none of them. They have been trained, and we'll put that in quotation, by the owner of the promotion, and he was hot garbage himself. So
Yeah.
I have a firm opinion of, if you've never been anywhere and done anything, how can you teach others to be able to do something, right? So
Mhm.
the whole promotion was just what we call a trash bagger, or a shindy, if
Mm.
you want to look at it that, like a shit indie. Um, so
Yeah.
that's what it was. I was early in my career. I needed a paycheck, and it was there, and mistakes were made. And that's my personal experience of gimmick stealing. But it happens a lot. Um, I
It's
I
not much you can
can
do about it, right? It's not really
I've
much you
I've
can do
seen
about it.
I have literally seen women go down to the PC in Orlando for tryout WB tryouts, and someone else use enough of someone else's gimmick to where when they get their chance to do their entrance or their promos or whatever it is they're doing, now they look like the copycat because the other person went first.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so it's one thing we try to avoid. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but purposefully doing it is not the same as just being a coincidence. We'll say that.
All right. Um, what I want, well, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. Um, I guess the next one we can hit is I don't know exactly. I haven't talked to you about wrestling in a while. What promotion that you watch more, and basically doesn't really matter. I just really want to know, male or female, who are you watching a lot of, and whose work are you admiring the most of right now? Because I value your opinion when it comes to that type of stuff. So, who's really got your eye right now that you're admiring?
So the two promotions that I watch more in terms of TV promotions would have to be Impact and AEW. Um, Mostly because I know a lot of the women on the roster. I have worked with a
Your
majority of the
connections are crazy, Casey. Connections are crazy.
I've worked with a majority of the Impact roster. I have worked with quite a few and really good
What
friends.
about Kimberly?
Kimberly's a fantastic girl. So while I have
I watch
never
her a lot, and she rings a bell.
yeah, so I've never actually got to in ring work with Kimberly, but I have worked many shows with Kimberly, shared the locker room with her many times, and she is one of the nicest girls you will ever meet. Um, not just in gimmick, but in real life. She's a sweet girl, and she's willing to teach, and she's willing to give pointers at any one point, but she's not overbearing about it. I love Kimberly to death.
She
It's a
works
matter of
good. She works good.
yeah, and I had her booked for a March, actually last week at March 17th. I had her booked, and then those circumstances happened. I don't know if she wants me to say this, but she had COVID,
Yeah.
so we ended. She I guess
I
she
had
called it.
COVID in December, so I'll admit it if she's not okay
Yeah,
with it. I had to
yeah. She
do.
tested positive at her this last Impact event. So we had to move her out of that booking.
So you
She
had her
couldn't.
coming to Gaston?
Oh yeah, yeah. March 17th was her date, and then she tested positive for COVID, so couldn't have her in. Um,
I need to
and then
come see her because she rings a bell. She rings a bell with me. I enjoy watching her work. She looks like she knows what she's doing. But as an all, I feel like people would go with NXT for the women's division, and NXT does have some women that are working well right now. But Impact's right there with their women division. I feel like they have a strong women division. Now I could be off because you know more about this this division and stuff than I do. But I feel like Impact's got a pretty solid women's division.
So I actually love the knockout division. It's actually my favorite women's division in the all of big time wrestling. Um, they've done a lot of work to that division. It's like a roller coaster. It's up. They're so up and down with how they do Impact that for years at a time it's not watchable. Next thing you know, it's just overwhelmed with talent. Then back to not watchable. Luckily, right now we're in the overwhelmed with talent,
Yep,
and
yep.
I love the Impact. Jessica Havoc just dominating through there. Diamante there. I love the Impact division, and I've worked with so many of those girls, and I know their skill set, and I know that they're going to go out there every show and they're going to kill it, and they're going to put their heart and soul into every match. And another good thing about them is they're so professional with it. Do all those girls like each other? Absolutely not. There's a lot of there's a lot of
A lot of beef in there.
personalities,
Yeah.
a lot of heat, a lot of personalities that don't do well with each other. But at the same time, they're professional and they can go out there and they can do the business. They can do the job, and that's fantastic. I love the impact.
But is that not okay? You said like and you've been in these locker rooms. I haven't. Um, does that hurt the product? I don't think it does. It hurt the product as much as when. Do you want a little animosity with your locker room a little bit, or is that healthy, or does it even not matter, or what do you stand on that? Do you want a locker room where everybody's getting along, and is that a bad locker room?
So it depends. That has a lot of factors in that. My personal opinion is I love a cohesive locker room. I can't stand when there's people that are arguing back and forth, bickering at each other. The problem is the professionalism, right? So if you and I have beef with each other, that's great. If we got backstage heat from real life, that's fine. The issue is when we get in that ring, is this heat going to come with us? Because when that happens, we stop being professional. We stop worrying about each other's safety, and then we're going to go in there where we don't beat the crap out of each other.
Or
You
have a
know,
shitty
uh,
match?
have a shitty match because we're too focused on each other's heat. Because we're not out there for us. We're out there for the fans, right? We don't pay each other. The fans pay us, right? So if we're out there arguing with each other and we're not doing the job as we're supposed to be hired to do, then we don't need to be out there. Period. So now, having said that, competition heat is different.
Mhm.
Um, if it's straight up heat out of competitiveness, hey, truth be told, in any locker room that's on TV or anybody that's on TV, is you could look at with AEW is a perfect example. Not so much with Impact, but AEW is a perfect example. There you've got Dark and you've got Dynamite, right? And while they may only have one women's match on Dynamite per night, they may have six or seven, five, six, whatever the number might be on Dark,
Mhm.
but there's only one spot on Dynamite, right? And there's 20 plus women on that active roster, not including the ones that come in for dark every week. So if every week I'm gonna tell you, well, we can only put two girls on TV,
Right.
then that's the competitive heat. That is fantastic to have in the locker room. That shows that everybody there wants it, right? But there's a difference between that and the personal heat locker rooms that no one should ever have to experience.
Right. While we're talking here, and like I said, well, I ask you one more question first too. Okay, before we even get to that, okay, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Raw and NXT and SmackDown stuff right now, where they'll get a guy like Keith Lee moved to the main roster, or get a guy like Aleister Black moved to the roster. I can go down the list, bro, or sis. I can Ricochet move to the main roster. Shit. I mean, there's so many athletes get moved to the main roster just to get shuffled in the bottom of the deck, or maybe even not seen from Bobby Roode. I mean, I can keep going down this list. It's I don't know what to think about it because I really enjoy it, and I'm scared. I'm at the point now where when I watch NXT, I really don't want these guys or gals to get moved up because what I believe is going to happen to them when they get moved up. I mean, I can just remember back when I was more naive. It was like, oh man, when they get moved to Raw or SmackDown, it's gonna be great for them because they're gonna get this crazy, insane push that they got from NXT, and it just does not happen for them when it goes to Raw or SmackDown. Do you have any idea what I mean? What's going on there? Or do you have any opinions about what's going on there?
Uh, it's clear to see the issue is the writing, and WWE for years has, or especially the last few years, has suffered from the need of pushing the product or the company itself into more of a business aspect and less of a workers aspect. So majority of our lives, WWE has pretty much been written and produced by former wrestlers, right? Former talents. And they don't do that now. They basically hire college writers, people that go to school for English and journalism, and they hire those individuals to come in and be writers for shows. And what that and especially with Vince kind of loosening his reins a little bit on how his day-to-day control of literally everything, um,
So he's less involved these days.
less involved these days. And so with that comes more of a shift in how things are ran. And you can see it in the writing. Um, Personally, to me, I look at this like college, right? So, you know, NXT would basically be your college level. Then you get drafted to the pros, right? If you want, and I just specifically use it in this situation, NXT to like the main roster. Um, Most people don't come out of college and immediately jump onto the into the game. There's an exception, and you see the exceptions getting pushed hardcore occasionally, but most of the time, you're a big name, bam. Now you're kind of downhill a little bit, and you're playing second string. You're working your way up. Um, Politicking in wrestling is real. If you listen to any Cornette podcast
Yeah, I do. I listen to Cornette. Cornette's
or
wild. He is wild, but yeah, I feel like he's truthful too.
he's a little out there sometimes, and
Well, I
he
mean, he shitted on that Omega and Moxley match, and I couldn't even defend it too much.
well he has this extreme discourse for AEW, um, or that trash bag of wrestling, or mud shows as he likes to call them. But
He gets views. He knows
I
what he's
mean,
doing.
yeah. So so you go back to getting pushed. It's it's
How do they
earning your
determine who's gonna
stripes.
be pushed if he's not involved and they got these college guy writers and ladies writers? How do they just huddle up and depend and like come up with who's gonna be pushed next? Is that how that works?
Well, I'm not sure exactly. I'm not in their
Right,
office,
right,
so
right,
I
right,
don't
right.
know
Sorry.
their complete mindset. But you could tell, and I've got friends that work for WWE. I've got people in they're in that locker room on the daily. It's once you've been around the business a long time, everyone has friends that are up there. That are
Where's
on the
Bo
roster.
Dallas? You know.
Yeah. So I, there's a reason why WWE is losing viewership. Their numbers have been down drastically over the years, um, and it sinks every week. Um, they're not they're not putting the effort into to starting something new and push new people. They tried for a while, then they would fall back to burying them down deep into the card. And of course, now you don't even have house shows right now to even like put the new up people up on the roster to have them go out there and perform the WB live shows.
So they get
It's
stuck in
just
catering. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't happen right now, and that's disappointing. But a lot of people don't respond well to the politicking that happens when they get up to the top level. Um, you know, if you've had personal heat with somebody while they were down in NXT, and then 2 years later, or maybe they've moved up 2 years later, you move up, they may have already moved themselves up into a politicking position, and they may or may not have got over the heat that y'all had. There's so much that goes into it, and then some people just some people just get there at a bad time and their gimmick isn't what's being needed. Um, NXT is great, but and at the end of the day, this is a business, and everyone's there for the money, right? So a lot of people will tell you straight up, "Hey, as long as I'm getting paid, I'm cool."
Hmm.
You know, you get the TV exposure on NXT, you get the paycheck on the main roster.
Yeah.
So
That and that was the main issue with Andrade, who is an excellent worker. I've been watching him. He had a great match with Drew McIntyre. I can remember from NXT a while back, and he's had great matches with Ricochet. He had great matches with everybody on the main roster. But he he said that it wasn't about the money. He wanted to be seen. He wanted a push that wasn't there. I know he even bagged Charlotte Flair. I guess he thought that'd help, but I mean, I guess that's not really working neither for him. So quick, just guess top of the head. What promotion you think he's gonna be interested in going to?
I think everybody's is go to right now is AEW. Um, Impact has always been or has been there for a long time, and no one would discard Impact by any means. But AEW is hotter than Impact right now. They're the new kid on the block. They came out swinging, and while their eyes are closed, they're throwing haymakers. Everyone that occasionally one of them will land. So with AEW soaking up a majority of the talent that's released the day after they're released or hours after they're released, seems like CJ and the crew have you know their eyes their eyes to the firing board, and
Yeah,
as soon as they see somebody's name jump up on that board, bam, they're soaking them up. So I would say AEW is probably would be the go-to, but Impact's always there.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
some people fit in better with Impact than they do with AEW,
Mhm.
and everybody knows their skill sets. So
Yeah.
you know, you go where you fit in best.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to like I said, I don't want to hold you too much. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys just giving me the time. It means so much to me. I just want you to know that. But definitely this is a big day. I wanted to wait, till I bring it out so you can definitely speak on this and air to it how you want to. But the White House released a proclamation on today as March 31st today as a transgender day of visibility. You being a transgender woman yourself, who is just trailblazing, who is a transgender that I admire and look up to for what you're doing. I want to tell you that here because that is honest shit. What you're doing with sports entertainment, something I grew up with loving. You're taking a hold to it and just taking it to a lot of new heights. And I hope you just keep going to the moon with it. But what does that mean to you as somebody identifying with that the day of visibility? How do you perceive that? Are you happy about that? Are you happy that this has happened? What are your feelings about this?
It's always great to be recognized as a person. One of the main issues with people like myself is that we're denigrated to less than human quite frequently. And not to get political by any means, but the last 4 years, uh, it really came out. Not only in the social aspect of things, but in the legal aspects of things, we were downgraded once again to prior 2008
Shit.
level of you know. And I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know. And I'm not no by no means a pity party. But it's great to finally have that federal recognition again, if you want to look at it that way. While by no means does it change laws, it doesn't address the issues, but it did bring a trending topic on Twitter, as you like to say. Um, Platform days like today are just until changes occur, they're just days. Like we appreciate I can't speak for everyone. I appreciate the efforts.
Yeah, I just want
Um,
your opinion. You're here.
yeah,
I just want your idea on it.
like I appreciate the effort, and it's a good day to. It's kind of like Veterans Day, right? Uh, to me, in a sense, or Memorial Day rather, not Veterans Day, when people start sending, I get all the thank you for your service messages and posts from people, and it's like, that's cool, but thank you, but that's not what today is about. It's about the people who did make it home. When it comes to this, I look at it kind of the same way. Is this day isn't about the transgender people that are still alive. It's about the transgender people that are getting murdered and committing suicide at a higher rate than anyone else in this and any other people in this world. And our the murder rate per capita is huge, especially for trans women of color. The numbers is outrageously high. And that's one of the things we need to focus on. And we need to use days like today to bring that back into light to where we can finally move forward and getting things changed. You may not agree with someone's, as some people like to call them choices, but trust me, it's not a damn choice. If it was a choice, no one would choose to denigrate themselves to a lower level in society. But
It's
yeah,
yeah.
it's nice that Biden decided to the White House itself decided to put something out. We
Yeah,
appreciate
and
that.
he went on to say transgender Americans face discrimination in healthcare, housing, employment, and public accommodation. So he's acknowledging. I guess he's been abreast. He's been abreast on some of this stuff that's going on. He touched on the violence and the harassment people as transgender face. So this is stuff that and lived through, um,
Hmm.
and seen. Probably have friends or something like that have gave you probably horror stories about this shit. Um, yeah. Just wanted to get your opinion on that. And what's going on. You think did you felt like it was heartfelt? That's basically what I wanted to get from you. You felt like that was, you felt like that they that was sincere that came from the government today.
I do feel it's sincere. He has been, this administration, you know, previously has been a part of the changes that came around during the Obama administration, the legal changes, and so I do feel it is heartfelt. I believe that while it's heartfelt, nothing's going to come of it. We're not in the situation right now where they're really going to do anything. He can do what he can do, but there's only so much he can do, and right now, we're the enemy. For years it was the gay people. Then it became the Muslim people were the enemies. Now it's us. We're
Yeah,
we're the current enemies.
yeah.
So until someone steps up and wants to take our place,
Mhm.
it's gonna be us for a long time.
Right.
So you know, take it how you must. For a while there, during shows when people would, or even now, it still happens on every week when someone wants to attack me. I've come up with nice little clever comebacks. So,
Yeah. It's just it's just
mm,
it's just a fucking learned fight, that you have to it's like a fight
yeah,
every day. You have to learn new techniques and maneuvers to get through it and whatnot. I also wanted to ask you why I had you here. So I said we had a lot to talk about. I'm probably holding you over. But
are you fine?
I know that Dave Chappelle took a shot at transgenders a lot in his recent stand-up shows and stuff like that. How was that received? Did you feel like that was necessary, or did you understand where he was coming from, or did you have any emotion from that at all?
I've given up on Chappelle years ago. I think the last one I watched was a couple of years old at this point, and it was his first time he came out with his more controversial stand up. Um, I honestly have not paid attention to him since that particular show. I feel like, oh God, how can I put this?
You feel like it's a reach? You feel like he's trying to reach?
I feel like he caters to the wrong individuals.
Yeah.
I feel like he has sold interest out, his own best interest out for the sake of money
Mhm.
and popularity to be with who at the time were, the popular people. I'm not going to dig too much into that. Um, that will start me on a path that may end up with turning this whole podcast political, and I try not to do that. I'm trying to better myself with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I honestly I have no idea what he even said. I don't pay attention to him
Not
anymore.
interested in what he
So not
said.
at all. Not at all. I get
Okay.
it. I'm sure I've seen I can go on Parlor and see about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. We can move on from that. Well, so what do you think? I feel like another another guy that's I feel like he's doing good work in this area is Dwayne Wade. Are you aware that his son, or his son identifies as transgender? And I feel like he catches heat from that sometimes, and that he supports his son's or decision on how to identify. Are you aware of this at all?
So I know a little bit of the
Zaya
story.
Wade, Zaya Wade, I think Zaya
Yes,
Wade.
something like that. I know a little bit of the story, but I'm not 100% familiar with it.
He
Uh,
catches a lot of shit for just supporting, his child. You know.
yeah, and he's not the only one. And unfortunately, that's just. It seems like the people that have the most issues are the loudest, right? I do believe non-supporters are the minority when it comes to a total population number, but they're also the loudest, right? So um, I can't understand why people just can't let others live. Like, why do people have to put so much effort into hating? You know, like I don't like eggs, but you don't see me walking around going out on Facebook every day talking just shit talking eggs, right? Like, or people that eat eggs, or people that cook with eggs, or people that smash each other over the face for 5,000 likes with eggs. Like,
Mhm.
this is something I don't do because it doesn't involve me, right? There's no use wasting my energy on hate. Um, it blows my mind. Uh, their particular or that particular example, I know a little bit about, so I can't go into like the same situation. I just can't go into it hardcore because I just
Yeah.
don't know about it. I'm not talking about something I don't know about, but I know a little bit. And I have seen some of the hate he receives.
Mm.
I do follow him on Twitter, so I do see some of the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I commend him because I know that he catches shit for that. And like you said, he's not the only one that goes through that. And like you said, so you said most and this is just like most you saying that the minority are the loudest. So most situations are okay with, for you, and that people just, are cool about everything. It's just maybe just the 1% or 2% that gives you shit.
I would say if I was going to make up numbers, this is just numbers off the top of my head that are completely made up. I would say 51% of America doesn't care,
Hmm.
right? I would say 48% of America is hardcore again, or 48% don't care but don't support.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say that there's 1% that really is super supportive. And I
Right.
would say there's 1% that is completely anti anything LGBTQ.
Hmm.
Um, and it seems like the loudest are the anti LGBTQ people in general, no matter what the situation, trans, gay, bi, whatever. They're always the loudest. Um, the religious folks is what it comes down to. It comes down to the hardcore hypocritical evangelicals. Is what it comes down to.
Want
And
to tell you how to live your life, but they, what I'm saying, they're not really focused on their own life so much.
yeah, don't two guys having sex is perverted, but it's all right to have a preacher up there who touches little kids telling you that the
Or
two
probably
guys
cheating
who
on his wife. Or
yeah,
probably
it's
cheating
like
on his wife.
I'm not gonna bash. I mean, I bash religion enough as it is. I hate religion. I'm a huge fan of faith, but I hate religion.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
it's I always equate it to gangs and stuff like. If you see the number of different ideas and religions, you can simulate that to gang life. Is I don't like this side, I don't like that side. Basically, this religion doesn't like that religion because they believe this or that. It's pretty much the same shit. You wear this robe, you wear that cloth. It's gang shit, man.
it is, and I agree with that. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we're all human, right? We only have one life to live, so why waste energy worrying about other people's lives? Shit on your own life. Like no one's life is perfect. Like if everybody spent as much time focusing on their own issues as they do other people's issues, we'd be in a much better world,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we're never going to
You,
get there.
no, I understand it, and you done an awesome job. We've had a great conversation. I just want to end you. I want to end this episode with this question right here. I just want to get your thoughts on Nyla Rose because she's someone that is transgender and is successful in
Hmm.
what she's doing. I admire her a lot. I admire her work a lot too. Just give me opinions on her, thoughts on her. Do you watch her? Do you admire her? Do you like, hate her, whatever?
I love Nyla. So Nyla and I have been friends for years, well before AEW. When I first
She's
got,
super. She's been super. She's had a super successful run in the AEW.
yeah, uh, so we've known when I first started breaking into the business. I
I'm
was
sorry, I don't
immediate.
catch y'all again. Terrific heel. I'm sorry. There you
Yeah.
go.
When I was first breaking into the business, I was told that I wasn't going to make it. I don't know if it was a motivation thing, if somebody was telling me the truth. Either way, I was told I wasn't going to make it. Not because of my efforts, not because of my looks or anything like that, but because of who I am, but because I was trans. Um, they pointed to the examples of the trans women that were in the business at the time, and some were popular, some just were never even used or rarely used or used incorrectly when they were used. And Nala and I became friends from a very early get go in my career. We've worked together multiple times throughout Pennsylvania, West Virginia, the whole East Coast area where I currently live. And she only lives like 30, 45 minutes from me, anyways. And we talk at least once a week. A lot about video games. We talk a lot about video games. We try not to talk about wrestling because but at least once a week. But I love watching Nyla's work. I loved teaming with Nyla. I loved working against Nyla. Um, I've a lot of fun in the ring together. A lot of jokes in that ring, and the locker room is just like when we're back in the back. It's just freaking hilarious. But
What is
I love
what
her
do you
work.
what do you like most about her work? What is something that you admire about her work in the ring?
Her intensity. Oh God, when
You hit it on the
Nyla
head.
Nyla backstage is this nerdy, anime loving, like just
Just regular
thinks farts
person.
still thinks farts are funny. Like that's Nyla Rose, always laughing, always cutting up. When she puts that gear on and she steps into the gorilla position, it's fart jokes are over. It's game time, right? And when she makes her way to that ring, when she gets that intensity going, it's intense. Like I've known her for years. I still get nervous with her when I step into the ring with her. Like, not because I fear safety or anything like that.
No,
It's
no.
just like her look when she's got those piercing eyes. When she stares into you, it feels like she's ripping your soul out. Like, like you feel like she's about to kill you, you know. And that's one thing I love about now. And she's bigger. She's a bigger girl, but she can work like a cruiserweight
Hmm.
and she can fly and she's got massive jumps and her flips are fantastic and she can do all the flippy spotty stuff that no one likes but some people like. um she could do all of it and she's fantastic and she's safe and I love Nyla to death and I love that they gave her an early push. I love that she was one of the first champions. They slowly died off using her a bit, it seems like. But then they're picking back up, So
I feel like
um,
she'll always have a place if she keeps continues to be herself, working the way she works. Yeah, she's not off nobody's radar. She's not off my radar.
Nyla's not going anywhere. She was the first signee of the women's division. And that's even we even put that into another perspective. The fact that a trans woman was the first signee of the newly formed women's division, that's massive in itself. Everybody wants to talk about the fact that she's trans, but no one wants to talk about the fact that she's a history-making trans woman. Like you're giving me props on things that I'm doing, but I can't even live in her shadow.
Mm-hmm.
The things that she's accomplished, and I'm so proud of Nyla. I'm always proud of Nyla. Um, love the girl to death, and I wish her nothing but continued success.
All right, all right. Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Only one last thing I want to ask of you, and I want to be dead serious when I talk to you about this right quick. Take a big gulp before I do this.
There you go. Hydration, hydration, hydration.
Yeah. Listen. You got the Brother Donna promotion. I know you said no guys allowed. There's a spot for a heel manager. You call me. I want to be a distraction in the ring. I want to learn to take a bump somewhere. I want to be that. I want to. Who's that guy that Sasha Banks and Carmella Harris coming around with them and shit with this? I don't want to necessarily do his gimmick, but I want to be an annoying manager for somebody. You hook me up with a chick or something that's open to the idea, and I want to make it happen. I want to push them. I want to be annoying. I want to learn how to take a bump outside the ring or something like that. You get me involved where you can, and I want to be able to manage one of these. Manage. I'm not going to be managing them. It's just going to be,
We'll
in
call
a talent.
we'll call you Miguel Ellsworth.
Hey,
There you go.
I'll do whatever
So
you want me to do.
hey,
I'll be living
victory
out my dream. You let
victory
me know a
wrestling
month ahead of time. I'll be at every show.
Victory Wrestling Academy, man. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday they train.
Yeah,
Fantastic place to learn the business. You want to learn how to manage, then that's the place to go to. Teach you everything you need to know from the basics of bumping all the way through the most highest level of managing that you can learn without going out and doing it, right? So, and
yeah.
they'll give you the platform, they'll give you the opportunity. So, you know, if that's one thing you're interested in doing, I
I'm
highly
definitely
recommend
interested
Victory.
in. But I listen. Can I go there and learn how to manage and then come manage there in the Belladonna
Oh,
division?
so you're asking the boss if you can ease in a way through, the little friendship, easing into the job.
No.
Uh,
Well,
joking.
yeah, sure, sure, that'll work for me.
Yeah. So why don't you go get trained, and then once you're trained, you send me your resume. All right, we'll
So
talk about it.
listen, so listen, you got to be trained to manage.
You think you can bump on your own? Why don't you stand up right now and fall on your back and tell me how bad it hurts?
No.
Exactly. You got to learn these things. Yeah, safety first. Everything's about safety.
You know what? I
So
think I should check out that training academy. It's the second time it's been mentioned to me, and like I said, I really don't want to do matches and that like that. I definitely want to do the managing stuff. I want to be annoying. I think I'm good at that.
hey, we spent years being annoying, right?
Yeah.
To each other. No, for real. Yeah, it's a great place to go learn. You'll learn the basics. You learn all the fundamentals of wrestling. We'll get you in there. You don't have to learn to be a wrestler. There's things you're going to learn,
Yeah.
but you don't have to continue your education level past basic
Hmm.
to be a manager. And unless you just want to be,
Now
you know, what kind of
listen,
manager you
are
want to
they
be.
if I give them my schedule, they can find the best day to train me or whatever. Like, what do you say, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays?
I think it's Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. I can
Tuesday, Thursdays, and
the
Sundays.
website, if you go to victorywrestlingacademy.com, they'll there's a breakdown, I think, of what the syllabus is.
Inbox me that because I'm gonna have to shoot them something because that's the second time it's been mentioned to me. So it's definitely something I want to live out here pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if it's a one and done thing, I can help you do that. If it's something you want to pursue and do regularly, then I can also help you that way too.
I know you can. I know you can. Definitely, I definitely appreciate you coming through. Just want to thank you again. Awesome episode right here, the Just Chilling podcast. With Casey Dillon. Aubrey's iPad. It said Aubrey's iPad right there, so we definitely hear with Aubrey as well. But we'll see you down the road. Definitely, like I said, we haven't talked in a while, so it's been good to catch up too.
Absolutely. And should always just call me as a friend too. And
Yeah,
don't forget, May 15th, guys in Alabama, Belladonna Division. Got
that's
Jazz, WWE Star Jazz coming into play. Got
that's what
TNA girls, Impact girls, got AEW girls. We got them. You name them, some of the biggest and best stars in the world coming in. So, $15 for general admission, 20 for ringside.
I want to name the episode right there.